I hear many people who believe that their doctors deliberately provide them with misinformation about nutrition and drugs. Do many provide poor advice? Yes, but not deliberately. It might surprise you, but even doctors have trouble navigating the maze of misinformation when it comes to separating fact from fiction. Last year, I received this email from a colleague. The medical group she belonged to was actively reviewing her prescribing habits to make sure that each and every one of her diabetic patients was on a statin. In effect, she was being pressured to prescribe statins to all of her diabetic patients, despite her belief that many of her patients would not benefit from this. So she went looking for the evidence, actual scientific papers that would answer this question. And she came across this, an expert review paper which strongly promoted statin prescription for diabetics. And there was no two ways about it. Statins were unambiguously recommended. Basically, it was claimed that taking statins would help diabetic patients live longer. And so she asked me if I could explain the conclusions of this review. And there were 6 references cited in support of the claim. So I went and had a look at each of them. And the first thing to understand is that for a study to make a claim about something like mortality, it has to actually study mortality. Pretty obvious, really. And 3 of the 6 studies cited fell down at this first hurdle. This expert review paper cited them to support something they didn't even look at. And the other 3 studies did measure mortality, but they didn't get statistically significant results. In other words, the findings could be explained by random chance alone. Not the kind of findings you should be using to determine whether or not a medication is prescribed. Especially a medication that can increase your chance of developing diabetes, as was found by the Women's Health Initiative study. They actually found that the risk of developing diabetes increased by 71% in those taking statins. The recommendation to use a drug known to increase the risk of diabetes and worsen sugar control in those already with diabetes is nothing short of extraordinary. The evidence cited to support this recommendation was anything but. Despite this, this paper has been somewhat influential, having been cited 69 times in the peer-reviewed literature, and this illustrates a major problem in medicine today: eminence-based medicine, where expert opinion is relied upon, despite often being no more than perpetuation of long-standing myths and falsehoods. Basically, those in positions of authority at venerable institutions exert an undue degree of influence over general opinion. Eminence-based medicine, it should be said, is the direct enemy of evidence-based medicine, which is based on critical appraisal of the best available science. Now, coming back to the email, this doctor was clearly trying to do the right thing, and she knew enough not to necessarily trust expert opinion. Many doctors, however, aren't aware that they've been misled and fed falsehoods during their training. The fact is, most doctors still believe hook, line and sinker the nutritional falsehoods that they've been taught.